The clip speaks for itself.
What is happening?
It's always interesting to see how Call of Duty and Battlefield fare on a given year, given that they're essentially direct competitors of each other. And we've seen Battlefield flop all, Call of Duty takes off. And we have seen the opposite where Battlefield takes off and Call of Duty flops. And this time it's Battlefield's turn to take the crown while Call of Duty falls by the wayside. So let's look at Call of Duty Black Ops 7 and what's going on with that title's launch. Even leading up to its launch, 10 days ago when they released this launch trailer, you can see that the likes to dislikes ratio was fairly mixed, because a lot of people just don't exactly like what Black Ops 7 has been showing off so far in terms of what they're doing with the campaign. And it just doesn't feel like they've really evolved the formula in a way that feels compelling. And so a lot of people are comparing Black Ops 7 to Infinite Warfare, which was among the, if not the most infamous Call of Duty release. And now that the game is launched, looking at the numbers on Steam and the concurrent players, it is incredibly apparent just how much Call of Duty has fallen by the wayside, how little interest there is surrounding this specific entry and release. So looking at Steam charts right now, the game literally launched today, and the peak concurrent player numbers over the last 24 hours has been pretty abysmal. Keep in mind that Call of Duty is a portal for myriad Call of Duty games, so this all-time peak you're seeing right here is for another Call of Duty entry in terms of Black Ops 7. We're looking at this happen live, and currently it's peaked at 78,659 players, and compared to the competition, that's a paltry sum. Battlefield 6, which absolutely nailed this entry for the most part. It's not perfect, but it went back to basics and it gave Battlefield fans what they love about Battlefield. The all-time peak for this title was almost 10 times as much, with a peak concurrent player number on Steam of 747,440 players. And to this day, even a month after launch, we're seeing tons of players come back to the title with 24-hour peaks still in the, like 250,000 some in the 250,000s. That's pretty incredible. That level of engagement is a dream come true for a live service. In fact, Battlefield 6 broke records for EA, with it becoming the biggest launch in Battlefield franchise history, selling a whopping 7 million copies and counting in the first 3 days of launch. I can only imagine how much this game has sold since. So where did Call of Duty go wrong where Battlefield went right? Well, where Battlefield really went to basics and really gave fans what they love about the identity of Battlefield, Call of Duty's identity has been going way off kilter with how ridiculous and absurd it has become, with multiplayer including like celebrities and characters that don't belong in a military shooter. And then there's the campaign, which is among the most criticized aspects of Black Ops 7, which many calling it potentially the worst ever. And, Call of Duty's had some pretty bad campaigns, but the level of ridiculousness on display with this campaign is so substantial that people can't take this game seriously. Now, on Metacritic, you'll find currently from 14 reviews a score of 84, which is generally favorable, but nowhere near the apex of Call of Duty. And among the biggest criticisms is definitely that the campaign is weak. The campaign comes up a few times, and while there are a few out here who did like and enjoy the overall experience, others are saying that the campaign is just weak and wacky and falls short in many areas. And that was a big sticking point for why the scores just aren't as high as previous entries. While they do say that the gameplay still feels good and the multiplayer components are substantial, that campaign falling short by such a substantial margin, with Call of Duty campaigns being something that a lot of people look forward to, combined with the fact that there's just not a huge evolution of the formula, it all culminated in this becoming one of the least interesting Call of Duty releases, one of the least hyped Call of Duty releases, and it being utterly destroyed by the competition, Battlefield 6. Zankai Goose here, for example, tweeted, "This might be the least hyped Call of Duty I've ever seen," and tons of people agree. Looking at the Steam numbers, it's readily apparent, but then there's just the general fact that a lot of people seem to be in agreement looking at forums and looking at comments about this specific release. Now, the thing that's been garnering mass mockery from the Call of Duty community is without a doubt the campaign, as footage of aspects of it are releasing online and people can't believe what they're seeing, which doesn't inspire confidence about the future of Call of Duty. Now, you know what does inspire confidence? Internet privacy. Which brings us to the sponsor of today's video, CyberGhost VPN, a service dedicated to keeping your internet navigation secure and versatile. With over 38 million users worldwide and over 20,000 excellent reviews on Trustpilot, this is a VPN that has proven to be reliable and trustworthy to the masses, and it's been incredibly useful to someone like me who is online all the time. One of the most helpful functionalities of CyberGhost VPN is that when active, it'll protect you from prying digital eyes, whether it's your internet service provider, your school or work's IT department, your home Wi-Fi router, you name it, all of who are tracking your online activity, even when you're using incognito mode. Rerouting your internet activity through their over 100 locations housing secure servers is super easy and simple, and in doing so, your online activity will stay completely private. CyberGhost VPN also allows you to access geo-restricted content by rerouting your activity through servers in other countries and regions and virtually any location. Streaming services like Netflix and HBO Max, Disney Plus, Amazon Prime, you name it, as well as game streaming and downloading services all have content that are exclusive to certain countries and regions, and with CyberGhost VPN, you can circumvent that and easily access all of those. Or if a product happens to have a better sale or deal in another country, CyberGhost VPN makes it easy to take advantage of those international deals. And with this VPN supporting all major operating systems, be it Android, iOS, Windows, Mac, you name it, and protecting up to 7 devices at once, you can expect total protection from a single subscription. Right now, you can click my link in the description and comment section below to get CyberGhost VPN's best deal yet. $2.03 per month with an additional 4 months for free. That's a whopping 84% off the normal price, plus a 45-day money-back guarantee. So you can check this out completely risk-free and start protecting your online activity today. All right, so let's check out footage of the Black Ops 7 campaign that has people utterly baffled. I will say just from this first frame alone, I'd be hard-pressed to believe that what I'm looking at here is a Call of Duty campaign. Now let's actually play the clip.
Fire on it! Do some damage!
Shoot it! Shoot that son of a bitch!
So yeah, apparently this Call of Duty campaign is going with surreal supernatural elements, like very supernatural elements. That for what's supposed to be a arcadey, semi-realistic military shooter, this is the last thing you'd expect out of a Call of Duty campaign. Like, this is actually utter insanity. And then right below that, the same user highlighted that there's even a mission to the campaign where you team up with zombies. So yeah, we've completely delved into the realm of fantasy with Call of Duty at this point. People also found this whole situation uninspired because Call of Duty Warzone has mechanics akin to what we're seeing in Black Ops 7, and people would have preferred if Black Ops 7 kind of stuck to its own gun. So, you know, a lot of people are saying that this aspect of Warzone mechanics being in the campaign, it's so over, bro. And people just are generally missing the days when Call of Duty as a franchise was themed around war and not all these absurd fantastical elements. And so somebody saying right here, I miss the old Call of Duty. This used to be a war game, garnering 14,000 likes among the responses in this specific thread that has gone viral because people are just that baffled. I mean, look at this, 12.1 million views as people spread this video and talk about the absurdity of it all. A response to this has gone viral is Kelsky here, who retweeted this footage and said, this shit is literally a playable skibbity toilet video. Tears, bro. This has garnered millions of views and tens of thousands of likes. There's seemingly mass agreement that this campaign is impossible to take seriously. And yeah, people are invested in the Call of Duty story, and seeing Black Ops' storyline devolve into this is not something that has captivated the Call of Duty audience. We've got the Act Man right here saying, bruh, at a glance, I thought this was a raid boss in Destiny 2. That's how fantastical this looks, and that's how little sense this makes in the context of what Call of Duty's identity is. And then in terms of the commentary we're seeing around this campaign, we got Modern Warzone right here, which is, you know, a gaming news outlet dedicated to Call of Duty, saying things like, just finished the Black Ops 7 campaign solo in 4 hours and 30 minutes of playtime. I can confidently say that this is one of, if not the worst Call of Duty campaign I've ever played in my life. I give it a 3 out of 10. I legit think this was worse than the Modern Warfare 3 campaign and way worse than Black Ops 3. Which is saying a lot, given the infamy surrounding those campaigns. And then just how fantastical Black Ops 7 gets with its absurd supernatural elements can further be found in this footage posted by Seb here, who said, Call of Duty Black Ops 7 campaign, WTF is this game, bro? And yeah, just check this out. You would be hard-pressed to believe this is Call of Duty, what you're looking at here. Like what, like this looks like a cutscene from Fear, like a parody of Fear from Monolith. It's like a Call of Duty fever dream, except this is not a dream, unfortunately. Here's another clip of a content creator and a fan of Call of Duty just straight up saying this is not Call of Duty anymore, and the clip speaks for itself.
What is happening?
What the fuck? I don't even, Is this Resident Evil?
What the fuck? Yeah,
Okay.
bro, welcome to Call of Duty campaign, dude.
What the yeah,
Like, what the actual fuck am I playing?
this is my first time seeing this one. I am there with you, buddy. I know I have no context for how we got here, but the fact that the reaction is this confused means that even with the context, it's not going to help how absurd this shit is. This is not Call of Duty. This is Resident Evil 6 is what this is. But yeah, the basic recommendation from this user was, in other words, if you plan to play the campaign, don't. Here's another clip from Modern Warzone declaring the Call of Duty Black Ops 7 campaign is legit comedy. And I don't blame this individual for having that sentiment, given what I'm looking at here.
Did she just fucking turn into Captain America? Did she just turn into Captain America? What am I playing?
This legit feels like, here's a comment who actually put it best, like Fast and Furious and how that series has evolved. Remember when Fast and Furious was about, just racing? Now the absurdity of Fast and Furious is something that people have just associated the franchise with, but not so with Call of Duty. So seeing Black Ops Duty go full Fast and Furious with it getting this level of ridiculous to the point where we're seeing these kinds of supernatural elements that have no place in Call of Duty, it's just a really sad regression to see for a series whose identity is not this at all. And I mean, we've got folks who express their excitement at streaming the Black Ops 7 campaign, but then they actually play it and they're like, what the fuck is this campaign? This is the level of feedback we're looking at with Black Ops 7. It is highly unpopular. The Black Ops 7 campaign here by Rin is described as just abysmal dog shit with the Martin Scorsese meme. And this right here has garnered hundreds of thousands of views, 748,000.4K views, and 31,000 likes. And then there are folks here who genuinely break down what they didn't like about this campaign. They do highlight some pros, saying that the gameplay is smooth, Black Ops B team and grappling hooks are positive. Then the negative is that the story is just awful and nonsensical and way out there. The new characters carried no weight. Villains were generic and came and went just like that. So while the gameplay is, Call of Duty, and therefore it is refined and fun, when you're doing a campaign, it's story, it's narrative development, it's set pieces, and how it all fits in the context of the, the whole saga storyline, all of that matters and will make or break your campaign. And with Black Ops 7, that aspect broke its campaign. But aside from the contents of the campaign, it's the technical aspects as well that get in the way. So for example, the end game of this campaign apparently was a crashing mess. So even on a polished and technical level, it's not something that is up there. And then beyond that, there is this element of Black Ops 7 that is extremely baffling, which is that even its single-player campaign mode is always online. This is something that the same Twitter user reports, saying that there's no pausing the game, there's a lag potentially since it's online, and inactivity will actually kick all players from the single-player campaign. It is treated as if it's a multiplayer experience, which it can be because the campaign does have co-op, but even if you're playing by yourself, all of this applies because there is no offline mode. Even if you're playing solo, the game treats it as if it's a multiplayer match. The campaign was, as IGN reports here, tailored to be played multiplayer because there's some tasks and quests that are tedious just by yourself. So for example, having to place C4 in multiple areas, having to do it 4 times across various parts of the map. Usually that was meant for co-op, and so doing it by yourself is tedious, but you're technically allowed to play the game by yourself. And the fact that even in solo mode, the game doesn't allow you to pause and kicks you out if you're idle. And the fact that there are no checkpoints as a result of this always online functionality is just complete and utter bullshit and completely unnecessary for what is, for the most part, a single player experience, something that has a multiplayer component but doesn't actually require you to team up with other players, that does allow you to play solo. No campaign should ever have this kind of restriction, this kind of always online functionality that doesn't even allow you to pause the experience. Like, I can't believe we're getting rid of the pause function. The fact that you can experience lag in a single player experience, the fact that there are no checkpoints, and the fact that you can get kicked from single player for just, being idle is Like, what the fuck are we doing here? If out of the blue your internet connection drops in the middle of you playing the campaign solo, you get kicked out of that campaign. And long term, when it comes to preservation, when servers shut down, even Black Ops 7's campaign will disappear forever because as of right now, it is an always online experience. And then there's the fact that because the campaign is always online and is integrated with all the online functionalities, you can actually get interrupted mid-play with updates. So right here we have an example from Modern Warzone showing this happening where they're engaging with a campaign and then out of the blue, a pop-up says, hey, daily update available. And, you know, they were just glad they didn't lose progress. But the fact that this kind of interruption is at all possible in a single player experience, it all just highlights what an extreme detriment it is to make any campaign have an always online functionality. So yeah, the culmination of all of this is that Black Ops 7 is clearly one of the worst received Call of Duty games of all time. A stark contrast to Battlefield 6, which has captivated audiences both in the Battlefield community and across the world, judging by these incredible numbers. And I mean, 7 million copies sold in 3 days, that is absolutely asinine. While Call of Duty is still Call of Duty and it will sell, you know, a couple million copies, you know, there's certain expectations for Activision Blizzard, or in this case, you know, Xbox and Microsoft who have bought out Activision Blizzard to grow a franchise and not to see it diminish to this level where its player base is pulling in a tenth of what Battlefield 6 is pulling right now. But this is why competition is so great. If Battlefield wasn't there to keep Call of Duty in check, they'd have no incentive to change their ways because Call of Duty would be the only option that people will have when it comes to that kind of first-person shooter experience. But because Battlefield is there as an alternative choice to Call of Duty, and this time Battlefield essentially won the audience of, you know, first-person shooters, the folks at Activision Blizzard will now be heavily incentivized to actually get the next Call of Duty right, to really do that franchise justice if they don't want Battlefield to take over Call of Duty's throne. And so I look forward to seeing how Call of Duty plans to one-up Battlefield and how then Battlefield plans to one-up Call of Duty. This is how it has to be so we can all keep getting better and better products without companies getting complacent and taking advantage of the community and the consumer base. They tried something here with Black Ops 7. It was a valiant attempt, I suppose, but clearly the reception has been so extremely poor that Call of Duty really has to go back to basics and really has to find its identity again, because the identity loss of Call of Duty, I mean, it has to be studied. But I suppose only time will tell what the future holds for the Call of Duty franchise. But right now, clearly, Black Ops 7 is, you know, by the standards of what previous Call of Duty games have achieved, a flop. Whereas Battlefield 6 is a tremendous success, and it'll be up to Call of Duty and the team to see if they can, you know, flip the narrative again and be the franchise that comes out on top next time there's another Call of Duty versus Battlefield 6 competition. But until then, I'd love to hear what your thoughts and opinions are on Call of Duty Black Ops 7, its launch, and the overall experience based on what you've played or what you've seen around based on reviews. Oh, and don't forget to click on the link in the description and comment section below to get the special CyberGhost VPN discount for my viewers. It keeps your data safe while you browse and unlocks all blocked content online, just for $2.03 a month. And with a 45-day money-back guarantee, it's completely risk-free, so check it out today. And to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.